Welcome to the Germany briefing. From key national developments to practical updates on visas, taxes, and daily life, here are the top 10 news stories impacting international residents in Germany this week. Part 1. National and international top headlines. GB01, GB05. GB01. Bundestag approves federal budget with record investments. The German Bundestag has officially passed the federal budget, approving total government expenditure of over 524 billion euros. Under the leadership of Chancellor Friedrich Merz and Finance Minister Lars Klingbeil, the budget allocates unprecedented funding toward national infrastructure, defense modernization, and public transport networks. To finance these major commitments while adhering to constitutional debt limits, the federal government plans net new borrowing of nearly 98 billion euros alongside specialized credit funds. Transport Minister Patrick Schneider receives the largest investment share, directed primarily toward upgrading Germany's deteriorating highway bridges, rail tracks, and municipal road infrastructure. Opposition parties have raised concerns regarding long-term debt servicing, but government coalition partners maintain that rapid infrastructure spending is necessary to revitalize the national economy. GB02, New Military Service Model and Conscription Questionnaire, approved. The federal cabinet and parliament have approved a reformed national military service framework designed to strengthen Germany's defense posture. Under the new regulations, all 18-year-old citizens receive an official questionnaire evaluating their qualifications, health, and interest in military service. While completing the survey is voluntary for women, it is mandatory for young men. The strategic objective is to increase the active troop strength of the German Armed Forces Bundeswehr to between 186,000 and 190,000 personnel in the short term, with a long-term target of up to 270,000 active soldiers and reservists. Defense officials emphasize that if voluntary recruitment quotas are not met, Parliament retains the authority to introduce targeted compulsory conscription under separate legislation. GB03, Bertelsmann study shows high approval for democratic values in Germany, according to the latest Democracy Monitor study released by the Bertelsmann Stiftung. 82% of residents in Germany strongly support the core principles of liberal democracy. The comprehensive long-term survey reveals a slight increase in democratic commitment compared to previous years. However, researchers highlighted a growing perception gap between democratic ideals and everyday political execution. A significant majority of respondents expressed dissatisfaction with political party dynamics, parliamentary speed, and public administration efficiency. Social scientists note that while institutional trust requires structural improvements, fundamental public backing for constitutional democratic principles remains solid across all federal states. GB04, Economic Council adjusts growth outlook amid stagnant recovery. The German Council of Economic Experts, Wirtschaftsweise, has published its updated macroeconomic forecast, projecting modest GDP growth for the German economy. The revised outlook reflects ongoing structural hurdles, including high industrial energy costs, persistent labor shortages, and sluggish consumer demand across Europe. In their report, the economists noted that special federal infrastructure funds have so far generated limited immediate economic stimulus because large portions were used to cover budget shifts rather than new capital projects. Financial analysts urge the federal government to accelerate bureaucracy reduction and corporate tax simplification to unlock private sector investment and restore international industrial competitiveness. GB05, EU Health Initiative pushes for medicine manufacturing sovereignty. EU Health Commissioner Oliver Varhelyi has presented a comprehensive European healthcare strategy calling for greater strategic autonomy in pharmaceutical manufacturing. Speaking on European health resilience, the Commissioner warned that Europe's heavy dependence on non-EU suppliers for critical raw active ingredients leaves hospital supply chains vulnerable to global disruptions. The initiative outlines financial incentives for pharmaceutical companies to relocate manufacturing plants to EU member states, including Germany. German health industry representatives welcomed the proposal, emphasizing that domestic production capacity for essential antibiotics, pediatric medications, and cancer treatments is vital for guaranteeing national healthcare security during crises. Part 2. Expat Life, Law and Social Affairs in Germany, GB06, GB10. Legal disclaimer: the following coverage of legal, administrative, and financial regulations serves informational purposes only and does not constitute legal or professional advice. GB06 Tax Rules updated for electric company vehicles. The Federal Ministry of Finance, BMF, and Bundestag have updated the tax framework for electric vehicles under the Motor Vehicle Tax Act, Kraftfahrzeugegesetz, and Income Tax Act, ESTG. Purely electric vehicles registered for the first time remain exempt from annual vehicle tax for up to 10 years. Furthermore, under recent federal adjustments, the maximum gross list price, Bruttolistenpreis, threshold qualifying for the reduced 0.25% private use taxation rate for electric company cars was maintained at €100,000. Environmental policy experts and industry leaders anticipate that this long-term tax predictability will accelerate fleet electrification among German businesses, while significantly reducing commute-related mobility expenses for foreign professionals and employees across urban centers. GB07 Federal debate reemerges around statutory pension level guarantees. A revived debate surrounding Germany's statutory pension reform package, Rentenpaket, has emerged among federal political leaders and economic policy commissions. The primary focus remains securing the statutory pension replacement level, Haltelinie, at a minimum of 48% of average national earnings, ensuring long-term financial stability for current and future retirees. Additionally, discussions involve expanding pension credit provisions for child-rearing periods, Mutterrente. For international residents accumulating working years in Germany, the evolving statutory framework provides crucial long-term calculations regarding how public social security contributions translate into future retirement benefits under European and bilateral social security treaties. GB08 Income tax relief and higher basic tax-free allowances implemented. The federal government's Annual Tax Relief Act has entered into full effect, increasing the basic tax-free allowance, Grundfreibetrag, for all income taxpayers in Germany. The higher allowance ensures that a larger portion of personal earnings remains completely exempt from income tax, offsetting bracket creep caused by inflation. In addition, child tax allowances, Kinderfreibetrag, and commuter allowances, Entfernungsbeitrag, have been adjusted upward. Foreign professionals and salaried expats will see these adjustments reflected directly in their monthly net salary statements through reduced wage tax deductions. Lohnsteuer. GB09 Federal Digital ID integration streamlines municipal bureaucracy. German municipal authorities are expanding the integration of the online ID function, Online Ausweis, and Bund ID account system across local administrative portals. Expats holding an electronic residence permit, EAT, with enabled online ID capabilities can now complete critical civic procedures entirely online. Services such as address registration updates, Ummeldung, requesting police clearance certificates, Führungszeugnis, and applying for municipal parking permits no longer require in-person office appointments at the local Bürgeramt. Local governments report that digital submissions have already reduced processing bottlenecks for international residents. GB10 Nationwide expansion of language support programs for international schoolchildren to facilitate social mobility and academic integration. Several German federal states have launched expanded German as a second language, DAS, integration classes in public schools. The program combines intensive language tuition with regular subject instruction, enabling children of foreign professionals to transition smoothly into the main school system. Educational authorities are also recruiting bilingual teaching assistants to strengthen communication between schools and international families. Expat parent associations have welcomed the initiative as an essential step toward overcoming language barriers and improving educational opportunities for foreign youth.